Hi there, my name is Josie and you're listening to the Yoga Local podcast. Welcome, good to have you here. Today I want to talk to you about Hatha Yoga. The reason I want to talk to you about it specifically this week is because we're about to do some rebranding of our classes, and I think it's really important for us to be really clear on what it is we're offering. My experience is that the landscape that is yoga out there in the modern Western world is quite confusing. So if you agree with me, I'd love to hear your comments on that. But essentially, I think there is a misconception about what Hatha Yoga is, and it's often just referred to as the gentle option. And this is super misleading, and I just want to clear that idea up that Hatha Yoga is just for those of us who don't want the stronger stuff, essentially. So anyway, what is Hatha Yoga? Well, Hatha Yoga is the fundamental branch to all yoga that is out there, right? So everything truncates from Hatha Yoga. So as I said, why is there this misunderstanding that it's kind of like the gentle option, even the beginner option? You know, it's where I feel a lot of beginners are led, and again, that can be super misleading. Why does this happen? Well, in my view, I think it's down to marketing and how the fitness industry has hijacked the yoga tradition and started to differentiate, all right, tried to or is extracting some of the teachings of the traditional practice to market to us as specific individuals, to get us in the door. So Hatha Yoga is a complete practice, right? But we now have dynamic yoga, we have rocket yoga, we have puppy yoga, we have restorative yoga, we have yin yoga. There is so many different styles and brands, Ashtanga yoga. They all kind of speak to a certain demographic, and some of these traditions were brought from the East for a specific Western appetite. So, and a lot of these practices are less than 150 years old, right? So compare that to Hatha Yoga, the traditional practice, which is 5,000 years old and has survived all the obstacles that would have prevented these teachings being shared over 5,000 years. If you think about religion, if you think about how we're manipulated over time through different powers, right? And how information has become lost as a result, or we've been kind of guided to believe certain things. The only reason that the Hatha Yoga tradition has survived and its teachings are still really powerful is because of the oral tradition, the oral nature of how teachings are passed from teacher to student. And that's why it's so important to check in with your teacher and how they've acquired this knowledge. Where is the lineage? Where is the teaching coming from? If it's backed by a 5,000-year-old lineage, right, these teachings have power, they have authenticity, they have integrity, and they stood the test of time. And essentially, more importantly, is that they deliver on the promise of yoga. And the promise of yoga is freedom. It's like freedom to fully express who you are and become all that you can be. It also, along the way, creates the resilience and the strength, because to become all you can be, to claim your power. Yoga, by the way, is power, right? You have to have a certain amount of strength and confidence and will and grit and determination. Nothing in there is softy, gentle, right? if we're going to become all that we can be, if we're really going to fulfill on the promise of yoga, if we're going to become like guided into remembrance of who we truly are and take on this really big, deep concept that we are the universe, you know, aham brahmasmi, baby, as one of my meditation teacher says in a lot better way than I can say it. But yeah, this idea that we are an individual expression of the whole, it's a big way out, powerful statement. And in order to be able to progress into anywhere near an understanding of that, you've got to learn practices that are going to get you there, that are going to progress you towards that space, that are going to guide you systematically and sustainably into realization, into understanding of your potential. You know, that is not the soft option, okay? So let's just kind of clear that up right from the get-go, okay? Modern practices, and you know, I love some of the modern practices. You know, my first teacher was an Ashtangi, and you know, these practices do get us in the door, right? But they can, if we allow them, they can just keep us in ego, right? They can keep us in our likes and dislikes, right? So we do this because we like it rather than because it's what we need. Hatha Yoga is going to explode all of that out of the water, right? You're going to have to start facing things that maybe you don't want to face. Again, not the gentle, not the soft option. We have to start challenging ourselves. If we're going to become all that we can be, we've got to start to unshackle from who we think we already are. That is that's no easy job, and it takes dedication, it takes practice, it takes systems, it takes accountability, it takes consistency, and these are all inbuilt into a traditional Hatha Yoga practice. So what is Hatha Yoga, and where does the tantric element come in? Because we teach Hatha Yoga from the tantric lens, and I've written a blog post on this. I'm going to invite you to read that. But essentially what Tantra does, it works with Hatha Yoga, right? It's an extension of Hatha Yoga, and it doesn't obliterate Hatha Yoga in any way. It's part of the same practice. But what it does, it's like it brings a jetpack to your Hatha Yoga practice in terms of its efficiency and its efficacy, because it starts to bring in an energetic conversation. So when we like move out of the physical layers, when we stop just practicing on the physical dimension and we move into the energetics, and we learn how to first of all sensitize to our energy, we can start to direct our energy, build our energy in very specific ways that then help us to redirect the mind into those realms where we can take on this idea that, hey, we're more than this, and we have potential to live an incredible life. The lower mind will keep us trapped, the ego will keep us trapped in what we already think we know about life and who we are. So adding the tantric element is like adding the rocket fuel. It's going to make change happen quicker. So we need to really dig deep into our moon practices and make sure we have a nice, strong, stable mind and body. But essentially, Tantra Hatha provides the jetpack to the classical practices. So again, I would encourage you, there's more in my blog. It's a big topic, and I want you to really have a look at that and start to question what you think of as Hatha Yoga. It's about fortifying, first of all, the mind, fortifying the body, so that we can then master the mind and master our energy. And then when we have moved through all those pathways, we start to unlock our potential. We can't do it if our body is weak and sick, if we're inflamed, if we're agitated, if we're irritated, our mind's all over the place, if we're constantly worrying, fretting, checking, you know, ourselves, judging ourselves, criticizing ourselves, comparing ourselves to everyone else, you know, that progression is lost to us. So we've got to start thinking about how these practices were designed to help move us forward. And often it is just, you know, we need to get in the door. So get in the door in whatever way you can, but just know that there is this beautiful progressive pathway that is actually going to sustainably move you from where you are to where you want to be. It's not going to keep you locked in things that entertain or help you feel good for 5 minutes. This is a practice that's going to help to support your entire life journey. It's going to bring health, it's going to bring resilience, it's going to bring peace of mind. Like, these are so more important than just the flexibility and the strength aspects of practice, right? To be our most capable version of ourselves, to be our most optimized, is what we should be striving for, what we want to go for. So that's why it's important not to be fobbed off with like random practices that seem a little bit fun. I mean, by all means, enjoy these classes, but then they're really not going to move you into the full promise of yoga. You know, that requires dedication, that requires consistency. We don't want to hear it in the West. We want bullet point lists of how to get there, and we want to get there tomorrow. But like, we know anyone really who is interested in this path really knows on some level that there is more to it than that, and it takes a certain level of commitment, a certain level of consistency, a certain level of dedication. We have to apply the practices in the right order with the right sequencing. It's not slapdash, it's not random, it's not for fun. It's a process, and when we follow the process, when we follow the map, we get to where we want to be. Okay, so don't be fobbed off. Enjoy those practices if you enjoy them. I'm not saying don't do them, but what I firmly believe in here is that we are offering a systematic, scientific, sustainable way to practice that has been time tested. It's rooted in the tradition. Both Ali and I have trained with the lineage behind us. So it carries the energy of the lineage with it. So it's about passing on that to you guys. And that's what we want for you, and that's what we want for the practice. We want people to progress. That's our big dharma. It's why we're here. It's what I'm here for. It's the thing that keeps me showing up day after day, is knowing that we've got something that can help people thrive, that can help people move forward. And it's about re-educating and giving people the tools in the right way, in the right order, with the right level of accountability, and showing people how to access. And that's how we'll make real change in the world. So yeah, harder sell for us, you know, it's like, you need to be consistent. Let's get to work. You know, we're important. Our health is important. What else is more important than you thriving, right? How on earth can you show up to your job, to your friends, to your family, and your relationships if you are not at your best? This is where we need to start. This is where we need to focus our attention. This is where we need to put our dedication. And then from there, everything else flows. Right? From there, everything else flows. So I hope you're inspired to just check out the blog post. It explains it in a lot more detail. But let's rethink about what our perception is of Hatha Yoga. And it's not the gentle option. In fact, it's the option that will take you to the full promise of yoga. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for listening. I would really love to hear what you think, hear what your experience is of practices. And watch out for some of the changes that are starting to take place here, and how we're just trying to help you make the right choices for you and get clear on your pathway and where you are on that pathway and what you need to practice next, and so that you can progress and become all that you can be. Okay. All right, I'll leave you with the blog post. Have a read, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.